Welcome to highlights of the 1992 Brazilian Grand Prix, brought to you by Mircoprose and GP2Joey. It's the third round of what is already turning into an epic season, as we visit the redesigned and shortened 2.6-mile Interlagos circuit on the outskirts of Sao Paulo. The track may be a safer version of the old 4.8-mile layout, but the passionate Brazilian fans will be flocking to cheer on their local hero, Ferrari star Ayrton Senna. But despite his popularity, his chances of success are more than slim after an average start to the year, which has seen a win apiece for Nigel Mansell in the Williams and McLaren's Michael Schumacher, who claimed a phenomenal debut win last time out in Mexico. In the championship, it's Mansell and Schumacher who are tied in first on 10 points, with Alain Prost and Senna tied for second ahead of Davis and Martin Brundle in third, with Johnny Herbert fourth, Jean Alesi fifth and Derek Warwick in sixth. Surprisingly, it's McLaren who lead the constructors' standings ahead of Williams, who unquestionably have the fastest car, but were hit with reliability issues in Mexico and a poor performance from Alesi, with Ligier and Ferrari in fourth, ahead of Benetton and Footwork in fifth. Going into the race, rumours resurfaced that Williams were growing concerned about Alesi's recent form, but was swift to cross questions about him being replaced at some point in the coming races, while Senna declared he remained hopeful of improved results from his Ferrari team. Meantime, a disgruntled Michael Andretti said he felt the weight of the Scuderia was only behind his teammate, comments which did not sit too well with the team's management. As ever, Friday morning meant pre-qualifying, and from the start the action was exciting, with several drivers pushing the limit of their cars as all 18 drivers fought for only 6 slots and a chance of progressing further into the weekend. For another Brazilian, Maurício Gugelmin, there was disappointment as he struggled in the underfunded Leighton House, and whilst the battle between the middle teams was close, it was once again the Lotus pairing of Mika Häkkinen and Mark Blundell who easily ran out the fastest, with the latter surprisingly beating his young Finnish teammate into second, with Martin Donnelly taking a fine third in the Brabham. Ultimately it was a close session, but it was Lotus, Brabham and Arus who managed to make it through, whilst their rivals were forced to pack up their transporters early and head for home. Friday's qualifying session was intense as Ferrari continued to struggle with their cars despite running an upgraded package for Senna, whilst down at McLaren, Schumacher and Davis quickly gone down to decent lap times, but it was Alesi who went quickest early on, and by some margin. That was until Mansell emerged and simply trounced his French teammate, going on to claim provisional pole by over 7/10 of a second, with the rest of the field a whopping 1.5 seconds further back. Saturday saw the lap times improve for most of the field, and while Schumacher continued to struggle down in fifth, Senna looked a little better than he had 24 hours earlier, as did Davis, who pushed his McLaren for all it was worth, trying to depose Alesi from second place. Alas, it was not to be, as Alesi held on by his fingertips, and Mansell continued to be in a race of his own, further improving to claim an emphatic third consecutive pole position. Afterwards, Mansell commented he would be doing all he could in the race to dominate more than he had already done, while Alesi said his target was for the podium and a lucky win if he could somehow find the speed to beat his Williams teammate. Davis, meantime, claimed his sole focus was on beating the two ahead of him into the first corner, or maybe chancing it a little further round the opening lap. But without doubt, the most delirious man after qualifying was Roberto Moreno, who scraped into his home race in 26th place, crying his eyes out when informed of the results in the pits afterwards. Later on Saturday night, there was more in the Alesi-Williams saga, after Williams boss Frank was spotted talking late into the night with Eddie Jordan, thus fueling rumours the two men were now talking seriously about swapping the Frenchman with Williams test driver Damon Hill, who's out on loan to the Irish squad this year. A rumour which Hill refuted on race day morning as he tried to focus on the race ahead. So it's Nigel Mansell and Jean Alesi on the front row, with Joey Davis and Ayrton Senna on row 2. Row 3 is Michael Schumacher and Alain Prost. Row 4 is Johnny Herbert and Martin Brundle. Row 5 is Michael Andretti and Riccardo Patrese. Row 6 is Gerhard Berger and Mika Häkkinen. Row 7 is Damon Hill and Mark Blundell. Row 8 is Eric Comas and Eric Bernard. Row 9 is Alessandro Zanardi and JJ Leto. Row 10 is Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Derek Warwick. Row 11 is Ivan Capelli and Martin Donnelly. Row 12 is Pierluigi Martini and Emanuele Pirro. And at the back it's Satoru Nakajima and Roberto Moreno. It's a cloudless blue sky at Interlagos as the engine revs rise. The red lights come on, and it's go, go, go! It's a great start from pole position from Mansell, with Alesi in second and Senna's in third place, with Davis dropping to fourth on the approach down to the first turn. It's Senna. Listen to the crowd's cheer. It's Senna up into second place, with Alesi dropping down to third, ahead of Joey Davis in the first McLaren. But through turn 2, it's Davis sneaking ahead of Alesi. It's Senna in second, and as they come onto the back straight, the crowds are going absolutely crazy, with Nigel Mansell in the lead. What a fantastic start from the Englishman. And Senna making the jump from fourth place on the grid as Schumacher goes through, and Alesi's already down from second to third to fourth place. And that is a terrible start from the Frenchman, who really needs to get a decent race in the bag today, with Davis fully in attack mode on his good friend Senna as they come up to the right-hand hairpin. And is he through? He's through! Davis, fantastic stuff! So it's Mansell ahead of Davis in the second McLaren. Well, he said after qualifying that his target was to try and lead into the first turn, or to try and make a pass on Mansell at some point around the opening lap. But I think that even for that, he's going to be needing a miracle, because Mansell, he's already 1.2 seconds clear, and Senna's already into the clutches of Schumacher, Alesi, and Alain Prost is up into 6th position. Fantastic start from the four-time world champion, with Herbert ahead of Andretti and Damon Hill. My goodness, Damon Hill in the Jordan. He's up into 9th place. What a tremendous start for him, with Martin Brundle dropping down to 10th. But over the line for the first time, it's Mansell with a 1.5 second lead as we see the replay from Davis.
And initially a very good start away from Nigel Mansell there, with Jean Alesi getting seriously bumped behind him, allowing Ayrton Senna to drop by into second place. And round the outside now, you can see Davis has got the inside line for turn 2, and then just simply carves across the front of Alesi's Williams. So fantastic, aggressive driving there from Joey Davis.
And as they come across the line, it's Senna coming under attack now from Jean Alesi. And Alesi's coming through, and he's now up into 4th place. So Senna's dropped from 3rd down into 4th, and he's already got Michael Schumacher. So Alain Prost is right behind him as the two Benetton start battling. And that's Brundle ahead of Herbert. Brundle goes through. So Brundle goes up into 8th place with Johnny Herbert in 9th. And Gerhard Berger in the Joas Porsche. They're certainly showing a much better race weekend. This time round in Brazil, he's in 10th place, will be right on board with Joey Davis in the McLaren. And Schumacher, his teammate, Alesi's now attacking Schumacher. Into the first turn, he pulls out of the slipstream. And is he going to be able to get through? He's through! Fantastic stuff. So Alesi's now up into 3rd place.
Well, that's a good couple of laps there from Jean Alesi, as we see Warwick overtaking the Lotus there of Mika Häkkinen. But Jean Alesi made a terrible start from 2nd place, dropping all the way down to 5th place. But now he's back up into 3rd and trying to chase after Davis.
And Schumacher slowing round the first turn. Senna tries to take evasive action, and he's passed, and so is Prost. But Schumacher is on the grass, and he is going to be out of the race. And I have to say that is a terrible shame. The winner last time out in Mexico, he is out. Fantastic development. But that's Senna. My goodness me. And Senna's hopes of winning, which were absolutely nil before, they are absolutely zero now. He's pulling over in the Ferrari. He's got smoke billowing out of the back, and Senna is out. The Brazilian hearts will be breaking all the way across Sao Paulo, and indeed the whole country, because Senna is out, as we see Hill down in 10th position, and he's got the LaRousse of Alex Zanardi right behind him, and Eric Bernard. That's Bernard chasing him, so this is a fantastic battle right the way across the field, with Davis trying to close the gap up on Mansell at the front. It's 3.3 seconds, with Alesi 9.6 behind in 3rd place.
And Damon Hill is slowing now. He seems to have some sort of a problem.
He's got an engine failure, I think that is. His engine doesn't sound too good to me.
I think that's probably more transmission. His engine sounded fine, but he's had to pull over because he's now out of the race. So back up front, Mansell has got Davis closing the gap now. It's 1.7 seconds. Davis is catching him hand over fist at the moment. I have to say that this is quite a surprise because of Mansell's dominating performance last weekend, and in South Africa and not in Mexico, where he actually retired. But Davis is catching him now. No, the gap's 2 seconds, so the gap's gone back up. But Sean Lacey is still in third place, and Herbert and Brundle are still battling with each other over 7th and 8th place. Fantastic racing. They're very good friends. They know how to race each other very cleanly. And Mansell's coming up to the back markers, and he gets balked by the Brabham of Donnelly. And that's going to allow Davis the chance to close the gap. He managed to get it down to 1.6 seconds, and still Mansell's not been able to get past the Ulsterman. And Davis is coming. He's coming fast. And Mansell's going to try and go through on the left-hander, but he still can't get through them. And that's going to give Davis the chance to pounce now. Donnelly finally manages to get out of the way and allows both of them to get through with Sean Lacey still in third. He's desperately trying to close up the gap at the front, but it's still 14 seconds. And Davis has sensationally taken the lead. My goodness me, how has he managed to do that? Oh, we're going to get to see a replay because he's now in the lead sensationally. Well, let's have a look. Let's see how he's managed to do it. Going into the right-hander, Mansell just got seriously balked, and I suspect that we're going to see Davis make a lunge now into the right-hander, just as he did with Senna, and he does. And that's a fantastic pass there from Joey Davis. I think he caught Mansell completely napping there, and that's allowed him to go back into the lead. So that's a fantastic pass from Joey Davis. As we look at the two Benettons now catching the Ferrari of Michael Andretti in 5th position. This is fantastic racing. As we see, Davis has managed to get over a second lead over Mansell. He's clawed 2/10 back on this lap, with Lacey still over 13 seconds ahead of Alain Prost in 4th place. With Andretti 5th, it's Brundle in 6th. And there's Johnny Herbert as I speak of the two Benettons. Herbert's going to go back past his teammate once again. They are absolutely enjoying themselves out there today. But are they hindering themselves in battling with each other and not being able to catch up and pass Michael Andretti for 5th place? But look in 8th place, as that's Davis. Nigel Mansell's retaken the lead. Fantastic. He's just done exactly to Davis what Davis did to him a few laps ago. And Mansell is now back in the lead. Fantastic development. Well, this is fantastic. There's racing right the way through the field here. We've got it at the front, we've got it in the middle, and we've got it at the back, I've absolutely no doubt. But the TV director brilliantly is keeping the action with the two race leaders as we see Joey Davis closing the gap up once more on Nigel Mansell. And is he going to be able to get a run up the hill? Well, I don't think he's going to be able to do it because there's quite a few horses in the back of that Renault engine, and the Ilmor is certainly a little less powered than the Renault, but let's see what happens as Mansell comes up to one of the BMS Delaras, and Mansell's through, and is Davis going to get bumped into the first turn? It's a late last second lunge, and look at this! He dives through on the inside of Emmanuel Pirro's BMS Delara, and he's through. He didn't want to lose any momentum to Nigel Mansell, and he still managed to keep the gap to less than a second as they come up to one of the footworks. I think that's JJ Leto. Oh, this is going to be absolutely scintillating stuff now. Is Davis going to be able to keep driving the wheels off of that McLaren? Because there's no doubt that he is driving the car faster than it's currently designed to do. This is the 1991 chassis, albeit slightly updated for the 92 season. But Nigel Mansell is absolutely in a class of his own over the weekend. But somehow Davis has managed to claw more speed out of this McLaren, and he is seriously catching the Williams up front. Well, this is fantastic as they come up to JJ Leto, and ouch! My goodness me, there's a coming together there. I'm not sure what happened, but Davis has lost his front wing and he went up into the air and he spins on the grass. Davis, he spins. He's managed to keep the engine going and he's going to rejoin the race, but both Mansell and Davis seem to get booked there by JJ Leto on the approach to the tight right-hand turn, which they only take at about 55 miles an hour as Sean Lacey comes in for the first of his two tyre stops. He's into the pits, Mansell keeps going, but Davis has dropped right the way back. He's had to make his pit stop, and he's further back as Prost comes into the pits from 3rd place. Oh, this is going to be interesting to see now as Emmanuel Pirro, who's this behind him? I think that's Joey Davis. So Davis has come back out as Nigel Mansell comes into the pits, and Davis is forced to run wide. So that's a bit of poor driving there from Emmanuel Pirro. Davis ran out wide and he ran over the curb, and now he's off as Mansell comes into the pits and he's out. So Mansell's out of the pits and he's got a nice 12-second lead over Davis. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if Lacey can manage to claw the gap back to Davis because it's less than 1 second as we see Herbert coming under attack from the Ligier of Alain Prost. So that's Herbert with Andretti ahead of them. So Michael Andretti is now up into 4th place,
but he's not stopped yet as Prost goes through. So Alain Prost goes through and Alesi laps the Jordan of Heinz Harald Frentzen in his bid to try and close the gap up to Davis, who's 2 seconds up the road. This is fantastic stuff.
Well, we're on board now with the McLaren, so this is Joey Davis, obviously because Michael Schumacher is out. He retired earlier in the race, so let's see. You can listen beautifully to Davis's application of the throttle as he passes Alessandro Zanardi in the LaRousse for 14th place. He's gone a lap down already, but Davis is desperately trying to keep ahead of Jean Alesi. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Davis has got some sort of an issue with the handling characteristics of that McLaren, as Pirro finally pulls over and he's out. So Emmanuel Pirro is out of the Grand Prix.
Well, this is sensational because Joey Davis is now less than 1 second ahead as Andretti comes into the pits from 6th place. We're on board with Davis, but we want to know where Alesi is because I'm pretty sure that Jean Alesi is going to be right behind him as Gerhard Berger comes into the pits in the Joas Porsche and his teammate Riccardo Patrese is up into 9th place. What a fantastic performance this has been from the 2 drivers in the Joas team. They had a dismal first couple of seasons in Formula 1. Last year their reliability was absolutely shocking, dare I say, on the par with footwork. But look at this. This is Davis and Alesi. Alesi sticks it up the inside and Davis does the undercut. His trademark undercut pass and he retakes 2nd place away from Alesi. Fantastic stuff. Look at this. Absolutely 100% commitment as we ride on board with Gerhard Berger in the Joas. He's in 8th place, desperately trying to close up to the Benetton of Johnny Herbert and the Ferrari of Michael Andretti. But what is the battle that's going on at the front, Mr. TV Director? Because there's 0.2 of a second in it. We're back in with the action and we're on board with Davis and he's got Alesi swerving about all over the gearbox. As Davis takes the inside line, he defends. Can Alesi do anything about it? He can't. He has to back out of it. And once more, Davis keeps 2nd place.
Absolutely phenomenal driving here from the 2 of them. But onto the back straight, it's Davis taking the defensive line. I think you'll see him stick to the inside line. He's going to try and force Alesi. If he wants to pass him, you're going to have to go around the outside the longer way, Jean. But there's no doing there. He can't get through there. So good, aggressive defensive driving as we see Andretti losing it. And he just about manages to keep the Ferrari under control, with Johnny Herbert ready to pounce at any moment. But we want to see what's going on between Davis and Alesi because this battle is absolutely enthralling.
And it's Davis, and up the hill they come. It's Davis and Alesi, and it looks like they're coming into the pits. They're coming into the pits together as Davis starts braking for the pits. And Alesi's got off and he's out! He's into the wall. My goodness me, Alesi is out. In a race that he needed to get a decent finish, Jean Alesi has spun out into the pit wall, and he is out of the Grand Prix. Fantastic development. And what's happened to Davis? We're in the car with him now as they get the tyres on. He's into the pits. Mansell is fully up the road. He's over nearly a minute ahead of him. But Davis has managed to keep going now. Did Alesi hit him? Did Davis brake test him?
Well, I'm not sure if Joey Davis brake tested him there. It looked as though Davis was just simply braking to make sure he could enter the pits safely. So I think that was 100% Jean Alesi's fault there, as we see one of the footworks chasing Alain Prost in the Ligier there, with Nigel Mansell in our screens now. And he's got a 46-second lead over Davis, with Alain Prost in 3rd place, Andretti in 4th, and Johnny Herbert 5th.
But look in the background. You can see the 2 Benettons, and here we are. And that's Martin Brundle. He's battling Johnny Herbert yet again. And once more they pass each other. It's Brundle ahead, so Brundle goes into 5th, with Herbert in 6th. It's Berger in 7th. It's Patrese in 8th. And it's Derek Warwick in 9th, with Eric Comas in the 2nd Ligier in 10th place. And look at the design of this circuit. It's absolutely fantastic because it has inclines, and not just up, but down as well. And there's Martin Brundle. Brundle slowing. Brundle is out. He's got flames billowing out of the back of the Benetton, and Martin Brundle is out of the Grand Prix. So it's Johnny Herbert up into 5th place as we ride on board with Nigel Mansell.
And the key thing to watch here for Nigel Mansell's Williams, now if you look at this, the way that he goes around each of the corners with the active ride suspension, look how balanced the car is. There's absolutely no pitch, there's no roll whatsoever. It's just smooth as you like on the suspension, and that enables 100% aerodynamic efficiency from the Williams Renault FW14B. It's quite a sensational car, and he's driving the absolute wheels off of it, I'm sure, at the moment.
As Prost goes through, so Prost laps his teammate Eric Comas. But I'm pretty sure that Nigel Mansell's slowing down. He's cruising to the race victory at the moment as Andretti, he's got flames billowing out of the back And he is also going to retire in the Ferrari. But this is terrible for the Scuderia because Senna retired. And now it's Andretti out. So that means to say that Johnny Herbert is going to be up into 4th. But look, in 5th place, it's Gerhard Berger. And his teammate Riccardo Patrese has now got Joey Davis all over the back of him. As Mansell goes through. And Patrese, is he going to let Joey Davis go past? He does. So the Italian is in 6th place. And he's 1 lap down with Derek Warwick in 7th. And that's Comas pulling off. So Eric Comas pulls out. Fantastic development with Nakajima in 10th place. That's one of the Ligiers gone. My goodness me. That's Nigel Mansell. And that's Prost. Alain Prost is slowing down in the other Ligier. Well, both Ligiers are out simultaneously. This is fantastic because Mansell is now in the lead and Prost is going to lose 3rd place, which is going to elevate Johnny Herbert. As that's Davis. Davis, he's going to get passed by Nigel Mansell on the final lap.
Sensational racing from Nigel Mansell there. So Nigel Mansell absolutely in a world of his own this afternoon since that first pit stop. And Nigel Mansell laps Joey Davis. So that means for the first time this year, he's lapped the entire field. A quite phenomenal performance from the Englishman.
It's been a sensational performance from Nigel Mansell. He's driven a lights to checkered flag, dominating display, and he comes up to the right-hander now. He's only got a few more corners to go. He's just got to take it nice and easy round here. Beautifully balanced on the throttle with another one of the Joas Porsches ahead of him. I think that's Gerhard Berger in 4th place.
No, that's Patrese.
Patrese in 5th place as Nigel Mansell rounds the final turn and he goes up the hill and he's just simply got to keep his right foot pedal to the metal. He's going to be coming up to the pit entrance now that saw his teammate Alesi crash out earlier. And Nigel Mansell crosses the line to win the 1992 Brazilian Grand Prix. Fantastic race as it's Davis takes 2nd place with Johnny Herbert in 3rd. Fantastic performance from him for Benetton. They will be absolutely overjoyed with that drive. But what a performance from Nigel Mansell. This was arguably the most emphatic of all Mansell's career wins and only served to cement a growing belief up and down the paddock that if McLaren and Ferrari don't get their acts together soon, the championship may be heading the Williams drivers' way. Davis claimed a decent 2nd place after dealing with a damaged car following his collision with Leto whilst battling Mansell. And for Herbert, this was another brilliant drive on his way to a 3rd top 6 finish this year, ahead of a superb performance from the Joas Porsches of Berger and Patrese in 4th and 5th, with Derek Warwick impressively claiming his 2nd 6th place of the year. As was his right, a delighted Mansell sprayed the winner champagne on the top step of the podium and drank in the superiority of his drive, whilst the content Davis was pleased with another haul of 6 points, but was wary of the manner of Mansell's victory and his own prospect for defending the World Championship. Naturally, Herbert was on cloud 9 after his fine drive to 3rd to make it an all-British podium in the land of Senna, who was very vocal in his criticism of Ferrari after the race, claiming his retirement was totally unacceptable. Unquestionably, though, the happiest group of individuals were all those in the Joas garage, with the team in full celebratory mood after their best performance so far in F1, with Berger and Patrese quick to praise the recent efforts of the team. Elsewhere, a furious Alesi blamed Davis for his retirement, stating the defending champion had brake tested him coming into the pits and caused him to crash out. The race stewards disagreed and Davis was subsequently absolved of any blame and told a deluded Alesi to simply focus a little more on trying to keep his drive at Williams. Mansell's win now sees him hold a 10-point lead over Davis and Schumacher in 2nd place in the drivers' standings, with Prost and Senna locked together in 3rd on 9 points, as Herbert climbs into 4th ahead of teammate Brundle in 5th. Berger jumps into 6th ahead of Patrese, Warwick and Alesi, who may well be in serious danger of losing his seat at an increasingly frustrated Williams team after his exit from today's race. McLaren dropped to 2nd in the constructors' standings as Williams go 2 points clear at the top, with Benetton jumping into 3rd ahead of Ligier and Ferrari in 4th, with Joas staying ahead of Footwork in 5th. The first flyaway races of the season are over and the F1 circus enjoys a month's rest until hitting mainland Europe. But the work doesn't stop there, with most of the teams set to run upgrades. They will all be out testing their cars before setting off for Barcelona. Will Mansell claim his 3rd win of the season, or can McLaren manage to claw back some lap time and take the fight to Williams? Will Alesi still be there, or will Frank Williams and Patrick Head opt to replace him? Whatever happens, there's sure to be more shenanigans in the coming weeks, so for now, Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for round 4 of the 1992 Formula 1 World Championship and the Spanish Grand Prix.